In this video, we'll be solving two-step equations. In two-step equations, we have two operations to do in order to figure out the value of the variable. So here we have negative 4x. That means the variable is multiplied by negative 4, and then 20 is subtracted to get 24. So the question is asking what number multiplied by negative 4 minus 20 equals 24. So two operations, multiplication, subtraction. Here we have half of a number, which can be represented as half times x, or the value of x divided by 2. Half of a number means a value divided by 2 plus 4 equals 13. So we have a multiplication and addition. 10x means 10 times x minus 5. Multiplication, which value multiplied by 10 subtracted 5 will equal 25. Two steps means two operations involved in the equation. The goal of solving equations is to find the value of the variable that makes the equation true. And to solve equations, we use inverse operations. For addition, we use subtraction. So if we have a constant like positive 6, we'll use the inverse operation subtraction in order to create a zero pair. If you have a constant like positive 4, we'll have to subtract addition and subtraction, or inverse operation. If you have subtraction, we need to use addition in order to create a zero pair. So negative 1 plus 1, or subtracting 1, adding 1 as inverse operations. For multiplication, we use division. So let's say you have 3x. To find the value of x, we have to divide by 3, or divide by same number in order to create a unit. 3 divided by 3 is 1x, which is x. If you have a negative multiplied by a variable, we have to divide by that negative, because negative divided by negative is a positive 1. If you have a variable divided by a number, we have to multiply again by the same number. Using inverse operations, we multiply because the inverse of division is multiplication. But we always use the same number, because when we simplify, negative divided by negative will make that one unit, 1m, which is m. So to solve equations, we need to start on the side where the variable is, because the goal is to find the value of the variable and identify operations that you have. Negative 4x means negative 4 times x, and then plus 3. So we have addition and multiplication. First, we're going to create the zero pair, meaning subtract the 3 from both sides. Bring down the multiplication, negative 4x, and then combine negative 13 with negative 3, which is negative 16. Same sign, add the numbers, keep the sign. Inverse operation of multiplication, negative 4x means multiplication, is division. And when we divide, you have to divide the same number. So we'll divide by negative 4, because negative divided by negative is x, 1, which is 1x. And then x will equal, or the value of x will be 4, because negative divided by negative is positive. To check, we substitute that value in the original equation. Multiply negative 4 times 4 is negative 16. Negative 16 plus 3, different sign, subtract. Keep the sign of the bigger number, that's negative 13, just like in the original equation. So the value 4 being substituted in the original equation makes a true statement. Solving the two-step equation where you have division and subtraction. So again, by looking at the side of the equation where the variable is, we identify the operations that you have. Undo subtraction and addition, so we are going to use inverse operation, plus 9 on both sides, and that creates our zero pair. Negative is in front of the fraction. It means that it is the value of the fraction. In order to use the inverse operation on the next level, I'm going to line up that negative with the 2 in the denominator. And then negative 5 plus 4, plus 9 equals 4. So instead of using the negative in the middle of the fraction, I'm using the negative lined up with 2, which is the same value, but I want it to be on the denominator because when I use the inverse operation on the next step, I will multiply by negative 2. In order to simplify negative 2 with negative 2, which is 1y, and then negative 8 for the value of y, because 4 times negative 2. Check. Substitute negative 8 in the original equation, and then we have negative 8 divided by negative 2. Negative 8 divided by negative 2 will be 4, and then 4 minus 9, because 4 is positive, subtract 9, we have bigger number, and subtract 9 minus 4 and negative 5. 4 minus 9 is negative 5, which is negative 5 as the original equation. Our value makes a true statement by being replaced in the equation. Let's see a few more examples to follow the pattern and get better at identifying the actual operations. Starting with the side where the variable is. I have 17, which is the constant, and it is positive, and then I have negative x. Negative x means negative 1x. So here we have two operations. We have the 17, which is added, and the negative 1x. Negative 1x means the value of x multiplied by negative 1 and plus 17 should equal 4. So let's see. First, we need to create a zero pair. That means subtract 17 from both sides. Bring down the negative 1x. So negative x again is negative 1x. 4 minus 17, positive 4 and negative 17. That means we subtract, keep the sign of the bigger number. That would be negative 13. Divide by negative 1, because when the number is multiplied by a variable, we divide by the same number. Negative divided by negative will be a 1x, which is x, and the value of x will be 13. To check that, we need to substitute in the original equation the value 13 to see if we have a 4. 17 minus 13 is 4, which is 4 from the original equation. So our solution makes a true statement. On the side where the variable is,
good morning, all. If I could have Mrs. Lucas, Mr. Rogers, Mr. Coronado, or Mr. Barushka to my office for a phone conference. Thank you.
First, we identify our constant, which represents addition or subtraction. So in this situation, we have addition because 4 is positive. So this problem means negative 3x, or value of x multiplied by negative 3 plus 4. So inverse operation is subtracting the 4 on both sides and then dividing the negative 3, because if the x is multiplied by a negative number, we divide same number in order to create a unit, which is 1x, and the 5 is the solution if it makes a true statement in the equation. By being replaced, I put 4 minus 3 multiplied by 5. Based on the order of operations, multiplication is first, so 3 times 5, that would be 15, and then 4 minus 15 is negative 11, which is just as negative 11 from the original equation, and it makes a true statement. So our solution is 5 because it checks out in the original equation. On the side where the variable is, we have the variable multiplied by negative 2, and the 6 is positive, so the constant 6 is added. Use the inverse operation, subtract 6. I typed the steps for you for reference in case you forget what we did. You can refer back. So subtract 6 on both sides. Negative 2x comes down, the variable multiplied by negative 2, and then 14 minus 6 is 8. Divide by negative 2 both sides, because if the variable is multiplied by a number, we divide same number in order to create that unit. 8 divided by negative 2 is negative 4. Let's check that. In the original equation, we have positive 6 minus 2 multiplied by negative 4, which is our solution. First, we have to do the multiplication. So 6, and then negative times negative is positive. And then 8. 6 plus 8 will be 14, and that is making a true statement by being replaced in the original equation. Our solution is negative 4. Negative x means negative 1x. So on the side where the variable is, I have a multiplication and a subtraction because my constant this time is negative. That means subtraction. So I add 11 to both sides on the first step to create a zero pair. Negative 1x comes down, and 9 minus 11 is 2. Divide by negative 1. Divide by negative 1 to create a unit, or 1x, which is x. 2 divided by negative 1 is negative 2. We'll check that solution if you substitute. Negative 1x means negative 1 times the x value, which is negative 2, and then minus 11, and we should get a negative 9. Multiplication first. Negative times negative is positive 2. Positive and negative, when we subtract, different sign, it's subtract. And then 9, keep the sign of the bigger number, is negative, which is negative 9 in the original equation. So our solution makes a true statement. On the other side, I have a selection of problems where there are divisions involved, so we're going to use inverse operation, which is multiplication, and again a constant, which is addition or subtraction. And we start with the constant, creating the zero pair. Subtract 12 from both sides. X divided by 3 will come down, and then 3 minus 12 will be negative 9. Then we have a division in the original equation. So inverse operation is multiplication, and we have to multiply by the same number. So if x is being divided, again, inverse operation is multiplication. X will be negative 27, or the value of x is negative 27. Let's check that. In the original equation, negative 27 divided by 3 plus 12 should equal 3. So negative 27 divided by 3, that would be negative 9, because negative divided by positive is negative, plus 12. Different sign, we subtract and keep the sign of the bigger number, so that would be 3, and that is 3 from the original equation. So our value of x, negative 27, makes a true statement. On the side where the variable is, we start with addition or subtraction, or creating the zero pair. So we have to subtract the 8 and then do the same side, the same operation on the other side. So zero pair here. 1/4 of x, I like to write as division. So 1 times x, it will be x, and then divided by 4. So 1x divided by 4. Instead of writing a fraction, 1/4 of x, I'm using it as a division. 1 times x divided by 4. So that means x divided by 4. On the other side, I have negative and negative, so that means add, and that would be negative 12. If there is division in the problem, inverse operation is multiplication, and we have to multiply by that 4, same number. The x value will equal negative 48. Negative 48 is a true solution if it makes a true statement in the original equation. So again, 1/4 of x means x divided by 4. So I'm going to say negative 48 divided by 4 plus 8. And that should equal negative 4. So first, we're dividing. Negative divided by positive is negative 12. And then negative 12 plus 8, we have to subtract and keep the sign of the bigger number. So that's negative 4, which checks out in the original equation. On the side where the variable is, I have a constant, which is positive 9. So that's where I'm going to start. And then I'm going to subtract that 9 on both sides to create a zero pair. Here now we have that negative, so I'm going to line it up with the number 2. In other words, don't forget that there is the negative there, and instead of having it in the middle of the fraction, you're going to line it up with the number. So that will be x divided by negative 2 equal negative, add the numbers 13. If there is division in the problem, inverse operation is multiplication. So you're taking this number and multiplying it. That is the value of 26. And it is positive because negative divided by negative is positive. So here in the original equation we had 9 minus and then 26 divided by 2, and it should equal negative 4. So we have 9 minus and then this division equals 13, 26 divided by 2, and then 9 minus 13, because 9 is positive, 13 is negative, we subtract and keep the sign of the bigger number, which is negative 4. On the side where the variable is, we have the constant, which is subtraction, and we are using addition as inverse operation to create a zero pair. The negative, bring down and line up with the number. So that same value is x divided by negative 7. Negative 10 plus 3, when we combine, it is negative, and it is 7 because we have to subtract. Fraction means division. Inverse operation is multiplication. So you're multiplying, again, same number, negative 7, for x value to be 49. And then we check it to make sure we got it right. So in the original equation, I had negative, and then the x value is 49 divided by 7 minus 3 should equal negative 10. 49 divided by 7 is negative 7. Negative 7 combined with negative 3 is negative 10, which is negative 10 from the original equation. So our solution checks out and makes a true statement. It must be a true solution then.